Good morning. Welcome to the Veterans in Politics International Endorsement Interviews. We'll be conducting interviews today for U.S. Senate, U.S. Congress, and Clark County Commission candidates. I ask everyone to please rise so we can conduct the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge of allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. You can be seated. Well, let me introduce myself. I'm Richard Scotty. I'll be the moderator for this session of interviews. I'm an attorney practicing law here in Clark County, Nevada. I've been a Nevada resident for 23 years, and I'm also a member of the State Bar Board of Governors. Welcome, everybody. Let's also introduce our panel members. We have Rod Lauer with the U.S. Army. Rod, may you introduce yourself to the candidate? Great. We have Karen Steelman, Auxiliary Director and Radio Host. Karen, raise your hand, please. Thank you. We have Leo Blenitsky, U.S. Coast Guard. Good morning. Douglas Webster, U.S. Marine. How are you? Melody Howard, U.S. Army. William Brown, attorney. Robert Faust, U.S. Army.
Pleased to meet you, sir.
And Ronald Colquitt, attorney.
How you doing?
Thank you. Let me run through some of the rules. Each panel member will have an opportunity to ask questions to the candidates. Candidates will have 1 minute to respond. If there is a follow-up question, candidate will be allowed 30 seconds to respond. I'll be the official timekeeper, and when we reach 5 seconds remaining, I'll give you a 5-second countdown. Do you have any questions? Very good. Well, Mr. Herr, Barry Herr, I see you've already been seated, so why don't you begin by giving a 1 minute introduction and bio, and then we'll begin with the panel questions. Thank you.
Speaking to the microphone.
Good morning. My name is Barry Herr. I'm a CPA here in Las Vegas. I'm a member of the Nevada Society of CPAs. I also sit on their board of directors. I'm past president of the Nevada Society of CPAs, the Las Vegas chapter. Additionally, I'm a member of the American Institute of CPAs. I'm a member of the Las Vegas Chamber of Commerce, former adjunct professor over at UNLV. I've been a Nevada resident for 1 year less, 22 years. I've got a daughter, son-in-law, and grandson who live here in Clark County now. I'm a UNLV graduate, and I am running for County Commission District A.
Thank you. Time to spare. Why don't we begin then with questions from our panel. We can start here on the left with Attorney Ron Colquitt.
Well, starting with why are you running for office?
As I said, I've been here for 23 years in Clark County and Las Vegas. My daughter grew up here. She, her husband, and my grandson are here. They're going to raise their family here. And Las Vegas, Clark County has offered me great opportunities for me, for my family. As the years have progressed over the last several years, of course, the opportunities are not as strong.
Can you hold the microphone up a little bit?
Could you make sure the microphone's on and speak into it directly, please? We're
Testing.
taping.
Is that working now?
Nope.
Try the button.
Switch.
There we go.
Fire in a hole.
Thank you.
It sounds better now.
Yes. Fire in a hole.
Let's see, as I was saying, I raised my daughter here.
Turn it away from the other speaker right behind you. So turn it, you know, point it behind that way. There you go. Perfect. That'll be good.
Will that work?
That should be good, yeah.
Okay. As I
The
said,
audio man in the room. I like it.
as I said, should I start over or? I'll be like, I raised my family here. My daughter is raising her family here, and I want her and my grandson, and of course everyone else, to have the same opportunities that were afforded to me. Las Vegas, Clark County gave me the opportunity to raise him here, finish college here. And
Thank you. Thank you very much. Any follow-up questions?
But is there something that you see uniquely happening that you would like to change?
Over the last several years, while the county and the state have been going in an economic downturn. I've seen a lot of excessive spending that I think both at a state and at Clark, at a county level, has continued. While I know it's a state issue, but specifically I look at examples like the freeway improvements that are going on the south end of the valley. While it's great that the improvements are going on, I think there's a lot of additional work that could have been postponed, i.e. the nice mountain goats and all that sort of stuff.
Thank you. Melanie Howard, do you have any questions for the candidate?
Mr. Herr, thank you for attending today.
Thank you very much.
My question is, what do you individually have to offer that the current county commissioner doesn't have that makes you unique to this position?
Well, for one of the things is I am a CPA. I'm used to looking at the financials, looking for areas where we can save money, possibly reduce costs and everything. And also, I'm a fiscal conservative, but I do know there are areas that need to have additional money spent that sometimes we don't. I'd like to take the budget to be able, as we do budgets every year, to do a zero-based budgeting rather than have just last year plus 5% or last year minus 3%, depending on what the budget is. Actually look at the details, what constitutes that budget, and make better fiscal decisions.
Thank you, Mr. Brown.
Thank you for coming today. I want to talk about the Strip. I was listening to NPR the other day, and the Strip is known the world over. It's probably one of the most well-known places on earth. In every democratic country I've been to, and every big city in this country, a public square, you know, the public parks and the squares of the city, there are always people there selling things, protesting, getting flyers signed, petitions signed, things of that nature. It's sort of what makes a community, you know, it adds texture and flavor to a city. And I've been to Disneyland, and there you find the opposite. Everything is very clean, very sanitized, very expensive, and designed basically to move people from one place to spend money to the next place to spend money. And it seems like battle lines are being drawn now on the Strip. And those are the two sides. The casinos obviously want to make it very sanitized and basically, you know, have it operate to move people as efficiently as possible from one place to buy, you know, 3-foot yards of daiquiris to the next place. People like the ACLU, the street performers, people who sell bottled waters, want it to be a more diverse, more interesting, rich kind of representation of the community as a whole. I'm wondering where you come down.
I believe a good example is what happened. You had brought up Disneyland, but Disneyland is a place where people pay. They expect everything to be perfect and all that, and they get it. I love Disneyland. It's one of my favorite places. Another favorite place that does have a high tourist area but is open to the public would be, a better example would be like Times Square in New York City. I believe that when Mayor Giuliani was there, he was able to clean it up. He was able to get vendors licensed, and trust me, I don't know the specific details of it, but I think that would be a good model for us to take a look at, to be able to utilize, to be able to clean up the areas. I enjoy the flavor of the street performers when I go to Manhattan, especially the Times Square area. I enjoy being able to go to the cars and get my dirty water hot dogs, for example. I believe that we can make room for that on the Strip and still maintain control.
Thank you.
Karen, would you like to ask any questions?
I'll pass my question to the next person.
Mr. Rowell.
Hi, thanks for coming today. As you know, there's a Veterans Court here in Clark County that helps take care of vets with certain specific misdemeanor issues, drug-related offenses, and that sort. What's your position on the Veterans Courts, and would you stand it, and how would you approve it if you got elected?
I'm not that familiar with what the veteran courts, what their jurisdictions are specifically. I believe that the veterans as a whole, if they are in trouble with whether it's drug related or alcohol related, I believe that we need to make sure we have the facilities here, especially since we have an enlisted around and we have a lot of retired veterans coming here. We have to make sure that we have the facilities here to be able to help them. Specifically, if somebody does something wrong, we are a nation of laws. We have to fulfill, we have to follow that. Veterans, especially if they've been in any particular war zone and everything like that, part of their treatment and everything like that should consider that, though. So that's where part of that compassion comes in, understanding where people come from on that. I'm not sure if that really answers your question or not, but thanks. Thank you.
Mr. Herr, I'm not exactly sure where District A is. Could you tell us exactly what the boundaries are?
Exactly, no. But approximately we cover Spanish Trails heading south from there down to about Blue Diamond, and then it heads east from there, incorporating unincorporated Clark County, south of the Strip, south of the airport, going down through Henderson, all the way down to Laughlin. It does not include Boulder City.
So you would have a lot of jurisdiction over, in commercial fields over the airport, McCarran? That would be that district?
Correct, yes.
What are your plans for creating jobs, and would you support a grant program through the county for people that come to you with business plans and programs to create jobs that would be unique to Las Vegas?
I believe in creating jobs. I believe that we as Clark County, just as the entire state, we have a lot of opportunities to bring people in here.
And do you
specifically the grant.
Do you think that the county has an obligation to help fund that? Or do you think it should be done strictly through private?
I believe mostly private. However, there are times that it might be appropriate that the city or county gives some tax exemptions or some tax benefits.
So you would
generally speaking, no, I don't support it.
So you don't support county funding for grants to create jobs?
I believe the private sector is the best place to create jobs.
Thank you, Mr. Bladinsky.
Thanks for coming, Barry.
Thank you.
Can you give some specifics based on your current understanding of of the county budget, that you see specific things where we could either do things differently to save some money or provide better services?
I would like to see some better services provided with regard to the Strip area. I think we need a better presence there to be able to clean up some of the issues that we had. Specific items is really, the big thing right now is the budget for the policemen, for the firemen, unions and all that. Trying to make sure that we control overtime. I believe any of them who work overtime are entitled to it. I believe that we also have to watch out for excessive overtime. There are times there's a break-even point where sometimes it's better to give overtime rather than hire new people without looking at the specific budget. And all, I can't really say where that is. But the other thing too is with regard to pension benefits and all that, we need to make sure that while they are definitely entitled to their benefits, when they retire, I want to make sure that it's not abused. There needs to be some kind of a baseline as far as their base salary and possibly some type of formula device that they lose a lot of overtime, for example. But it shouldn't be at the extreme. If somebody gets a $100,000 bonus, for example, and I'm using an extreme example, their last year of working, there is no reason why that $100,000 bonus should be part of their retirement. It's a bonus, it's separate. The retirement should be calculated separate from those type of issues. So that would be one area. Other area would be taking over the maintenance for like roads and all that sort of stuff. I think sometimes we tend to use cheaper materials and we end up paying the bill later on. Instead of lasting 5 years, 7 years, they last 5 years.
Thank you, Mr. Herr. I appreciate that. Any follow-up question? Mr. Webster.
Welcome, and I take it you are or not a
Is your microphone on?
Are you a veteran, sir, or not?
I am not.
Okay. And thanks for coming. The very fact that you're here makes a big difference.
Okay, my question is probably more on the federal level, but I'll ask you. In regards to, a lot of us veterans included mortgage prices, right? Clark County may. Now, as an accountant, if you bring that to the table to the county commissioners now, what stake do they have in any of this debt relief act that's due to expire next year? Again, that's a federal thing, but what does the county have to do with any of that? Do they?
Well, of course the county does. Whatever happens at the federal level is going to affect us all the way down to the local level. We need to make sure that, and without going into specific programs, if any federal legislation comes into being that may affect the inventories of examples of houses that are being foreclosed on, people are leaving it, that will have an effect on home prices for, like myself, I am a homeowner. The bigger inventory of foreclosed homes reduces my value as well, as anybody else here. So that will make a difference. The other thing too is at some point banks have to be able to sell it. If there's a heavy inventory of foreclosed homes, it's going to affect the builders. So we have to really see what happens, but without the specifics of what may happen, it's hard to say.
Okay, one last question. As an accountant, and if you're sitting there with the rest of the county commissioners, would you be the only accountant there? Meaning that kind of experience?
I'd be the only CPA there. I don't know if any of the other ones are accountants, to be honest with you. As far as the experience goes,
okay, I think that.
As far as the experience goes, my experience, I probably have a little more experience with how it's going to affect their the individual homeowners' taxes, but I'm more concerned on the bigger picture.
Good to go. Thank you.
All right, thank you very much. That was Barry Herr, County Commission District A candidate. Thank you very much for attending. And
Can I get your picture in the back before you leave?
Sure.